Well, as I always say, Mondays are usually the most boring days starting the week. However, today we're going to be reviewing, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling with more with Road to the G1 Climax. Now, as you all know, they were filling up the last two remaining spots in both the B and the A block. But now we have two spots that have been filled out from both sides. Now the other two spots are about to be filled. But the real question is, who will fill them up? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. However, of course, we do have two title matches in the fence. Shota Umino defends the IWGP Global Heavyweight title against Gabe Kidd, who has returned with more of his usual carnage, where he decides to feel that he is doing this because he believes that they're trying to make what is real. But however, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship is also on the line. Yo defends it against Francisco Guerrero, who is determined to win this belt at any cost. But we'll see how things will roll from there. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing three other events. The first one is, of course, it happened this past Friday with Ring of Honor. As you know, it did not happen on a Thursday. It happened the following day, a day before 4th of July. But it features many matches that we definitely going to enjoy. And then, of course, we have two shows coming from 4th of July, of course. One with AAA, where it features the mysterious former WWE champion. And, of course, some interesting matches, Lady Shani versus Flammer, and plenty others, of course. Then we move on with MLW with Fusion, the crown the first ever Southern Crown champion in a bunkhouse match. That's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, we'll find out exactly what's the situation with Dijak. As you know, a lot of things have been happening with Bishop Dyer, so we'll see about that too. It's going to be very interesting. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates, giving you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Leaded Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We, of course, do more news updates. If certain information has been unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers, let's get to it. So let's begin, of course, with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. Now, this particular one was broadcast on the 3rd of July, which is the day after, of course, on a Thursday. Now, remember, they normally do this all the time with AEW. If AEW is going to be a Collision is going to be broadcast on a Thursday, Ring of Honor will be broadcast on a Friday. And that kind of sets it up right there. But anyway, we opened up with singles action. We have Nick Camarado, who many of you may remember him. Um, he takes on Hook. Now, obviously, we know the size differentials between both men, but with Hook, we know he's capable of taking down a much bigger individual. He was able to do so when he put him in a red rum, and just like that, it was over by tap out. Next up, we have LJ Clearing, Aaron Dallas, and Keegan Garland, who many of you may know Keegan Garland's father, Scotty Too Hotty, of course. Yeah, he does the worm too. But they're facing against the premier athletes, more specifically Arya Davari and Tony Nese. Will they team up with Beef? Now, obviously, last time there was a bit of the controversy where the premier athlete left Beef to be on a 3-on-1 situation against the Ops, but it seems now they decided to bury the hatch and all that. Don't know exactly what Beef role is this, but Beef was the one who picked up the win when he did apply like a splash onto LJ Clearing. Hopefully I got the right guy. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now our next match is women's tag team action. Robin Renegade teams up with Trish Adora of Shane Taylor Promotions / The Infantry. They take on the duo Hyen and Maya World. Now, of course, we all know when it comes to Hyen and Maya World, they are not just only good in singles action, but they are also good in tag teams. And that's something. Of course, Maya World, as you know, is bouncing back after that loss in the finals of the Owen Hart tournament. And that's exactly what she intended to do. And she applied the Shining Wizard onto Robin Renegade. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see an interview with the premier athletes along with Beef. It seems like maybe they may aim for the ROH World 6-Man Tag Team Championships, but the real question is, what's going to happen from there? We know that the champions are dealing with Lethal Twist, but we'll see how that plays out too. Leo Rush puts out a vignette, where they displayed the ROH World Television title all in black, and then he was saying, cuts, cuts, cuts. Now, I don't know what he's mentioning that, but yes, that's what was going on from there. Now, speaking of Leo Rush, his former tag partner Action Andretti takes on Alex Reynolds. The match was pretty good, I have to say. Action Andretti did pull up his game, and Alex Reynolds, same thing too. But unfortunately, this match ended with Action Andretti applying a springboard 450. Was a move that only AR Fox does it because, of course, he's still bitter that he did not win the World Television title, and that's exactly what he did. He did not defeat him. He defeated Alex Reynolds with that, and now he won. But however, during the post-match, Action Andretti wanted to punish Alex Reynolds more, but thank God for John Silver, or as we know him, Johnny Hungy, decided to make the rescue. But of course, it's fine. It's fine. Yep. And then he started telling Action Andretti cuts. So I don't know exactly what it meant, but maybe because of the whole lights, camera, action, and there's that cut, like cut, like in the film ways. I don't know if that has something to do with that, but yes. Now our next match, we have Kieran Gray taking on the Governor, Anthony Ogogo. Well, obviously this match was going to go with Ogogo when he just knocked him out completely, and that's exactly what happened. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, we have Cassidy taking on Zeta Steel. I thought it was a pretty interesting matchup. Now, of course, wherever Cassie goes, Jessie McKay will be by her side. But thank God for Zeta Steel having Red Velvet by her side. And, of course, Christopher Daniels being a coach and all that stuff was there by her side. And it was, of course, Steel with the real deal that put away Cassidy. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, of course, Action Andretti may, as you know, he may have walked away with the win, but he will not stand out knowing too well they got humiliated with Johnny Hungy saving Reynolds' life, but the one person he can't stand is Leo Rush. So he is determined that one day he's going to take that belt off of him. So we'll see what happens from there. Now, as you all know, the ROH World Tag Team titles have been defended in CML for months. Now, the reason was behind that was because Beast Mortos been having visa issues to fly from Mexico all the way to the US, and now the belts are defended against Sky Team, consistent of Máscara Dorada and the man, the myth, the legend, Místico. And I thought the match was pretty good, but of course LFI would do whatever it takes, even if they have to cheat their way through, to retain the belts. But however, that did not do any well because Beast Mortos ended up on the wrong side of La Mística, and he just tapped out and brand new ROH World Tag Team Champions. And I thought it was a real fun event. It was real interesting. So that's pretty much what happened. So we'll end it here and move on to our next review, and I believe that is AAA. Okay, AAA. Now this event was broadcast on their YouTube channel of course, on July 4th. Now we opened up with Rey Mysterio doing a promo, and he revealed who was this mysterious former WWE champion, and it turned out to be none other than Damien Priest, and it was a bit of surprise. Now Damien Priest did put out a promo. He tells people, I know you guys what you're thinking. I know I'm not Mexican. I'm Puerto Rican. But however, I come here to AAA because I don't want to make friends. I don't want to make enemies. I came here to dominate. You know, he even put out his resume that he's a former United States champion, a former world champion, that sort of thing. And that's exactly what type of message he wants. He wants to put the entire AAA fan base on a notice that I'm here. I'm here to dominate the entire AAA world. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, our opening match, we have Shani, who made her return recently, and not to mention help Lola Vice and La Catalina to take on the Las Toxicas, and she faces one of the members and the current Reina de Reinas champion, Flammer. Now, remember, she is the women's champion of AAA, which that means the Queen of Queens, the championship in Spanish. But of course, Reina de Flammer was intending to try to cheat her way through, but thank God for Catalina for helping her out. She grabbed the belt, and because of that, it ended. And then later we did see Lady Shani apply pinfall. 1, 2, 3. It was over. But it will be only a matter of time until Lady Shani gets what she wants, and that is the shot of the Reina de Reinas championship. Now, they did show a bit of a clip after what happened last week. If you guys remember, Psycho Circus are been determined to find out who's been wiping them out recently. Well, apparently, of course, Pagano was suspect number 1 until they found him that he was beaten, and it turned out someone is targeting them, most specifically with Psycho. And they see, and of course, later showed Pagano taking him to hospital. So basically, it's still unclear who is behind these attacks. Who really attacked, of course, Psycho Circus to begin with. I mean, the only suspect is already gone, but now this. So we'll see. Now, speaking of attacks, as you all remember last time, El Grande Americano, as you know, made plans for what he intended to do. Now that he defeated, of course, El Grande Americano Original, or the OG Grande Americano, so he wants to aim for the AAA Mega Championship. But however, an obstacle once again got into his way, and that is, of course, the ones who attacked them last week, and that is Los Perros del Mal. Apparently, of course, El Grande Americano did not like what happened, so he said he's going to deal with them next week. So I don't know exactly, but if I was a Grande Americano, I would get some friends to deal with them, because if you guys remember history too well, for those who don't know, Los Perros del Mal ravaged AAA for a long time, trying to prove their dominance, that they are the ones who are going to wreck the entire world the way they like it. But we'll see. Now, our next match, we have a 3-way tag team match. We have Drago teaming up with Dimanico versus Money Machine, consisting of Garado de Oro and Colino de Plata. So they're like guys in cats in the gold and silver look. And their other team is none other than La Parca, and of course one half of the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions, Mr. Iguana. Now, of course, it was going to be chaotic one way or the other, but it was, of course, La Parca that picked up the win onto Drago, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, I don't know if La Parca and Drago and Mr. Iguana, of course, are intending to challenge for the AAA World Tag Team belts, but we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Rey Mysterio gave his words. Why did he bring Damien Priest here? He brought him because of his resume, that he is the perfect guy to bring in. And he's willing to acknowledge that, yes, Damien Priest may not be Mexican, but he does have roots of being a respected wrestler in his native country of Puerto Rico, but he's not bringing that whole culture in. But he wants to prove his worth now in AAA. But he never been in the AAA before, and that's the reason. But they even asked him about Los Perros de Mal. What is going on from there? He said that he was a bit of surprised to hear that they are being reformed, but he said that the only thing he can do is watch and see what their motives now are now that they've been reformed. Now, our main event is El Fiscal versus Abismo Negro. And these guys are almost similar. The match was going great by any means. I mean, these guys have a bit of a rivalry. But however, the match ended in a no contest with the arrival once again of Los Perros del Mal. So basically, they're sending their message loud and clear. Now, if I was in Grande Americano, I would get, of course, El Fiscal to join your little crusade to deal with Los Perros del Mal. So we'll see how that rolls from there too. So we'll leave things as it is with AAA. Let's move on with MLW. Alright, MLW Fusion. This also happened this past Saturday in the 4th of July. We opened up with the crowning of the first ever MLW Southern Crown champion in a bunkhouse match. Now, for those who are new to the channel or new into wrestling, bunkhouse match is more like a hardcore type where you can use whatever plunder. And they have many wrestlers competing to become the first inaugural. We have Trevor Lee, who many of you know him back in NXT as To the Moon. That's right. Cameron Grimes. He takes on Andrew Everett. Akuro Kwan from, of course, Contra Unit. Beastman versus Diego Hill versus Jesus Rodriguez, who many of you may remember him as Alberto Del Rio's personal ring announcer. We have, what's his name? Paul Hauser, of course, you know him as Paul Walter Hauser, or in Cobra Kai, Stingray. We have Festus. Of course, many of you know that character. He was like the guy who just stays like this, and then when you ring the bell, he's on. So then we have, of course, Josh Bishops, and of course the one-man militia, Matthew Justice. And I thought the match was great, but however, of course, it was what's his name? Josh Bishop that decided to, of course, Rodriguez to put Festus to shut off when he rang the bell, just to keep him, and let's say air was like hello and all that, and and then of course we saw that what's his name, Jesus Rodriguez was trying to take advantage of the fact that Festus is not moving, so Tom Lawler decided to ring the bell, and he just woke up. But however, it was in fact Trevor Lee with the cave-in onto Everett, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Brand new and the first ever MLW Southern Crown champion. Now, many of you remember I mentioned this. We have Teddy Long, or as many of you remember him too well. Every time you hear that holla holla holla, yep, he had a talk with Dijak. Now, of course, as many of you may have heard, there's been some dispute between both MLW and Bishop Dyer, or as many of you remember him as Baron Corbin. Well, apparently there's been talks about this, but however, Teddy Long wants to know that he wanted him to be informed. They said if he doesn't find a tag partner, then they have no other choice. MLW has no other choice but for, of course, Dijak to relinquish the tag team belts. And of course, that's exactly because he does not want him to defend these belts all by himself. So I don't know exactly what he's going to do. Now, as you know, we have the Contra unit consistent. Now we have Contra Mercs, basically like an offshoot splinter group of Contra unit, featuring, of course, the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Val Gallows, Shotzi Blackheart, and of course, Matt's Kroll Kruger, who just been brought back from the dead. And don't forget, Kruger, it was a former member and a former leader of Contra unit. So that kind of sets it up right there. Like, hey, what better yet to have someone like that? So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, Teddy Long decided to come out to introduce a brand new wrestler who is now making headways, and that is Labrone Kozone, and he takes on Alan Angels. And of course, we know recently that Kozone has been on a learning curve with Satoshi Kojima, but he did use his teachings wisely when he applied a short-range lariat onto him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our main event, we have Dijak versus Carl Anderson. Man, the match was pretty good. Of course, we were expecting Carl Anderson to apply the machine gun, but Dijak saw that coming a mile away, so he saw that regardless. But Carl Anderson rolled him up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, when Carl Anderson was celebrating his victory, he was attacked from Josh Bishop. Now later, of course, Dijak revealed that he is the third skyscraper. So basically, he will be his tag team partner. So we'll see when we'll see this between, of course, the skyscrapers and the Good Brothers. So can't wait to see it. But for now, we're done with MLW. Let's move on to our last review, and that is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Alright, final review. New Japan as they continue with more of Road to the G1 Climax 36. Now, this is their much recent show, and they return once again to Cork and All. Now, we opened up with the House of Losers, of course, consisting of Sho, Doiki, Sanada, and Ren Narita taking on Masatori Yasuda, El Desperado, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura. Now, of course, as always, Sho never shuts up because they think they're tough. No, Sho, you're a loser who hides behind your tricks, behind your weapons, behind deception. That's exactly what you've been trying to do. But of course, they always do that. But it was Doiki who picked up the win onto Yasuda, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have the Unbound Company, consisting of Daiki Nagai, Yuto Ice, Shingo Takagi, and Yota Tsuji, taking on Tatsuya Matsumoto, Hikari Goto, Hiroki Goto, Aaron Wolf, and of course, Bolton Ole. Now, nothing too special about this match whatsoever, but however, this match ended with, of course, Bolton Oleg applying the kamikaze onto Daiki Nagai, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have the other losers, of course, consisting of Dick Togo, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, of course, taking on the Unbound Company, consistent, a three-way. They had, of course, Unbound Company, Geto, Titus Shimori, and then versus Yado and Tiger Mask. A pretty good match, not gonna lie about that. But of course, House of Torture will love nothing more to destroy a Tiger Mask for obvious reasons, because Tiger Mask, as you all know, he's on the verge of retiring soon, and that kind of sets it up right there. They want to be like, we're gonna beat you down so you won't make it to your retirement, Tiger Mask. You don't deserve it because you're a pathetic loser. That's what they think. But however, that did not happen. We did see, of course, well, that kind of did happen because, unfortunately, because of the usual tactics, they applied a whiskey mist onto him, and then, of course, a pinfall. But Tiger Mask, of course, let people know that they can't wait to see everybody in his final match, of course, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you know, we have the last two opening spots in both the A block and B block of the G1 in a play-in match. Now, let's start with the B block. One, we have Yujiro Takahashi versus Asuka. Now, of course, wherever Yujiro goes, the other House of Losers will be coming behind them, knowing too well they will love nothing more than to ensure that the House of Losers would win the G1, and that's exactly what they're hoping for. But Asuka, he is like a beast. But, of course, Ice decided, to help out Asuka by stooping in the same level as the House of Torture by pulling the referee. And, of course, Asuka let that be, knowing too well that there's no winning with these guys. You have to play by their own rules in order to win them, and that's exactly what happened. But thank God the referee did not see the tag team in a 2-on-1 scenario, because apparently Yujiro Takahashi ended up with the KOB, and then just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Asuka and Yuto Ice, as you know, Ice is already in the G1, so that means Asuka joins it, but I think they're going to be in 2 different blocks. I'm not sure, but it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do in singles competition. Now, we got the other play-in match, part of the B block. Of course, we have Rohei Oiwa versus El Fantasmo, and I thought the match was okay. It was very decent. Um, I think many people might have assumed that El Fantasmo might be the one to join, but no, Oiwa was able to do so when he applied a discus lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he's in. So basically, I think now the entire spots are filled. Now our next match is one of two championships. It's the semi-main event. It's the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Gabe Kidd versus Shota Umino. Now Gabe Kidd took out the referee, and then Shota Umino and Gabe Kidd even brawled before the bell even rung. But I think this was exactly what Gabe Kidd wanted. He wanted, of course, to beat up Shota Umino much as possible, to soften it up so he can take the title easily. And then, of course, Gabe Kidd got in the face of Tanahashi multiple times. He even spit at him, calling him, "You're the #1 traitor," because he felt that Tanahashi has betrayed New Japan, which is not true. It was Gabe Kidd who the other way around. And, of course, once the bell rung, all hell was breaking loose. Shota Umino put up a hell of a fight, but apparently it was not enough because, of course, Gabe Kidd applied the Death Rider onto him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then when the title was won, he demanded that Tanahashi wraps the belt around him, and then, of course, Gabe Kidd slapped Tanahashi right in the face, and then he tosses the belt like it was nothing. You know, this is the thing that no one wanted because it shows the sign of disrespect. Now, our next match is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, of course. Francisco Kerr versus Yo. Now, I think this is Yo's maybe second opportunity, second title defense. I'm not sure, but yes. Anyway, we know that Francisco Kerr has been aiming this belt for years, but never capitalizing. We know he's a maybe 2 or 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion, but never this belt. And of course, he was going to try to do whatever it takes to dismantle Yo. But of course, we did see the idiot Khan try to get involved, but it was no use. But Yo was able to apply the direct drive, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the belt. So that's how it wrote. That's all she wrote, folks. So we'll see what happens, of course, in the next event. I think it's going to be the Tiger Mask retirement show. So let's wrap up this episode with some news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with GCW. We have 3 updates on that. As you know, we have the Hartford, Connecticut event on the 11th of July. You Only Die Once. Bear Bronson will take on Pero. So this is going to be a bit of a house fight. So this is going to be crazy. And then the following day, they make their debut in New Hampshire, of course, for Melee in Manchester on the 12th. Vandal 48, consistent of the Koger brothers, Acticus and Otis, will take on a group called the That Neighborhood. I don't even know who these guys are. And then, of course, they return back to LA for No Signals in the Hills. This will take place on September 12th. Now, House of Glory has announced for the high-intensity event in New York City on the 7th of August. Shayna Baszler will be participating in this event. They announced, of course, Death Before Dishonor by Ring of Honor on August 28th, and it's going to be at the 2300 Arena. Now, they haven't mentioned the card yet, but I'm sure as we get closer and closer to August, we will find out more enough. Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced that they will do a show for, of course, for Yuki Kamifuku, who is on the verge of retiring, and they stepped up to say they call this Kamiyu Goes Hollywood on the 30th of August. This will happen. So basically, that's what it's going to happen. Michinoku Pro Wrestling has announced that they will be having an event on the 23rd of September at Mirai's hometown. If you all know, Mirai is part of the Michinoku Pro Wrestling, and not to mention she is the GHC Women's Champion, so she will put the belt on the line. And then finally, as you know, we have AEW All Out, and it's going to happen in Chicago at the Now Arena on the 26th of September. So this is right after, of course, from All In Wembley Stadium in London. So I can't wait to see that. Now, let's do some news updates, some developments here. First things first, let's give some congratulations to, of course, first to Mandy Rose and her husband. They just recently announced that they're pregnant, that she's pregnant and expecting their first child. So this was a bit of surprising news. I'm sure everybody were surprised. But congratulations, guys. But also, she's not the only one. It was also announced that Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize are also engaged. I know some people have been disdained over the fact of what happened with AEW, but I cannot, even though that was their own doing. But however, I cannot take this one away from them because they deserve happiness together. Now, the sad news, of course, many of you know this person named Scarlett Guilla. As you all know, Charlotte Flair has been very close to this little girl, who has been suffering with what's it called, diffuse midline glioma, which is of course a brain cancer, and she's been very close to this little girl for a couple years, and sadly she passed away. And of course, our condolences is to her family. I know they have suffered a lot, tried to help their daughter, and of course Charlotte, who got close to her, like a big sister type, was really close to her, and Flair even sent his condolences to the family, and I'm sure everybody wants to give the condolences, so our condolences is to, of course, Scarlett's family. Now, many of you heard about what's going on with Sheamus, that he is, of course, leaving WWE once his contract expires. Now, this is a move that, of course, many of you may not know this. If you're released before your contract even expired, you get the whole non-compete clause. But if you wait until your contract expires, you can actually work wherever you want. And that happened before with many wrestlers. Jon Moxley was amongst them. So was MVP and Bobby Lashley and a few others. And of course, this could be played out too. Now, Sheamus, of course, is still unclear. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of options like AEW, New Japan, TNA, CML, wherever he's going to go. So we'll see what his next move is once he leaves WWE. Now, speaking of CMLL, they just announced that Rey Bucanero, who's been part of this promotion for 34 years, is now leaving. It's still unclear what's the situation, but many of you should know this about him. Rey Bucanero does have a bit of a history with a certain family. I'm not sure if he's related to... No, he is. He's related to, of course, Hector with Garza and Bento, who are now currently with CML. Rey Bucanero's parent, one of his parents, is a member of that family, but they're not wrestlers, of course. That's how I've been told. Many of you saw this past weekend the World Cup tournament between Mexico and England. Well, Grande Americano was there attending the match with, of course, Adriana, and of course he looks a lot having fun. I mean, he truly embraced the Mexican culture. So I was like, wow, I can't believe how he's enjoying his side, but it's great. Now, of course, many of you saw what happened in the steel cage match at Forbidden Door, where Darby Allin took thumbtacks to the face. And it was a bit sketchy, so that was something that he kind of planned, but it was a bit, the way it went. I mean, I don't know exactly what he was thinking, but it happened. I mean, it kind of looked kind of bad. I don't know. Now, many of you know this recently. Jake the Snake Roberts is no longer with AEW, and he actually made a statement recently about that. He says, I love it, working with Tony Khan. I just finished up working with him. I'm no longer employed by AEW. He is awesome. He really is a breath of fresh air. So yeah, so basically a lot of people can give a lot of props to Tony Khan for what he has done, and that's pretty interesting to hear. Now, Tony Khan recently was on the Q101. He talked about saying that he would love to have Aaron Wolf and the Knockout Brothers come to AEW in the future, and this is what he said about that. I really like Aaron Wolf and the Knockout Brothers. There are young wrestlers in Japan right now that I'm interested in. There were numbers of wrestlers I really wanted to come, but did not have the visas or were not in New Japan plans to send over. Aaron and the KOB, I like to work with them in the future. So it seems that he would like to have them. Yeah, the KOB, the Knockout Brothers have been very impressive, and I think that's a good thing that he's been paying attention, that he would like to see that. He even talked about Cal Newman, of course. Tony Khan said there were plans for him at Forbidden Door against against for I think it was John Moxley, but this is what he said. There were plans to use Cal Newman and the United Empire when Cal Newman got injured. New Japan held back from the show, so it was a major change, and we needed and we made the best of that. So basically, they really wanted him. I don't know exactly what the plan was, but yeah. So it's sad that he was that. Now, Jeff Jarrett, of course, talked about Tony Khan, but not in the negative way, but more about how the difference is between TNA and AEW, and that's something that's pretty good. Like, how well was Tony Khan in the AEW ups to be he didn't that TNA didn't do, of course. But this is what he says. This is what this is gonna sound real simple, but to me, you can go back and look over history. Who does Tony answer to? He answers to himself. When I was answering to Bob Carter, it was a relationship. Janice slowly got involved. Then Dixie, then Dallas. When you can implement your vision and direction you're going in the Game Changer, you look at WCW versus Vince McMahon in the 90s. You can drill it down, go hot. At the end of the day, to me, the deciding factor was Vince against corporate. Kick their ass. I'm proud of Tony. I'm not afraid to say that I'm very proud of Tony implementing his vision because the success is showing. So yes, so he can tell the difference. Now, Kurt Angle recently went on his Instagram, talked about his daughter Nicolette applying a moonsault and knocked out his tooth. Yeah, this is what he said. Even though this is a very proud dad moment for me, I have been feeling my wife won't be too thrilled with me since I promised I wouldn't wrestle with the kids on a trampoline, especially right now before our family vacation. I can already imagine my dentist having a laugh about this. So yeah, so basically, there's a picture of Kurt Angle with his tooth missing because his daughter, Nicolette, applied a moonsault. And I'm sure his wife is gonna put him in the doghouse. I mean, I don't know what's that like. I don't know if I have any subscribers, especially guys who know what's that like, So, but I'm sure it's not good. But anyway, that's pretty much all we have for now for our news updates and everything else. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. Well, I think we have the New Japan and featuring, of course, Tiger Mask retiring in NXT. So basically, a lot of things is going to take place regarding about that. I mean, like the chaos continues in NXT. So I think that's going to be the top priority. So we'll see how things will roll from there. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.